Good morning. In previous class, you have already discussed biotechnology, principles of biotechnology. So now, today, I am going to discuss mechanism of action of restrictions endonuclease. Every endonuclease inspect the entire DNA sequence for the palindromic recognition sequences. On finding the palindrome, the endonuclease binds to the DNA. It cuts the opposite strands of DNA in the sugar phosphate strands of DNA. Opposite strands of DNA. It cut the opposite strands of DNA in the sugar phosphate backbone a little away from the center of the palindrome sites but between the same base on both strands. Same base on the both stand. Cut DNA. This results in the formation of single stranded overhanging stretches at the end of each strand called sticky end. So this is also known as the sticky end on the both sides. The sticky ends facilitate the actions of enzyme DNA ligase. So a sticky enzyme is also known as DNA ligase. So DNA ligase is also applied and joined at a sticky end. By readily forming hydrogen bonds with complementary strands. In genetic engineering, DNA from different sequence or different sources are cut within the same restriction enzyme so that both DNA fragments have same kinds of sticky end. These sticky ends are complementary to each other and thus can be joined by DNA ligase. DNA ligase end to end. So these are the steps in formations of recombinant DNA by action of restriction endonuclease enzyme ECOR1. So the enzyme cuts both DNA strands at the same site. That is the vector DNA. And enzymes cut the both DNA strands at the same site. ECOR I cuts the DNA between bases G and A. That is G and A. Only when the sequence GAATTC is present in the DNA. So this is the foreign DNA and this is the vector DNA. Cut it, and where sticky ends are also present on the both sides, DNA ligase joined the both fragments at the same ends and then formations of recombinant DNA takes place. So now discuss DNA ligase. These enzymes repair broken DNA by joining two nucleotides. It is used in genetic engineering to reserve the action of restriction enzyme, that is to join complementary DNA strands or ends together. These are the ends together. For example, T4 DNA ligase is the best for joining end-to-end of DNA strands. Next enzyme, alkaline phosphatase. Alkaline phosphatase, these enzymes remove the phosphate group from the 5' end of a DNA molecules, leaving a free 5' hydroxyl group. It prevents unwanted self-ligations of vector DNA molecules during the formations of recombinant DNA. Then another enzymes is also known as DNA polymerases. DNA polymerases are those type of enzymes which helps in vitro synthesis of complementary DNA strands on DNA templates. So these are the various types of enzymes which also play important role in the formations of recombinant DNA. Now discuss the next topic, cloning vector. The DNA molecules that can carry a foreign DNA segments and replicate inside the host cell is called a vector. These vectors have a ability to replicate in bacterial cells independent of the control of chromosomal DNA. So there are the following different types of the natural vectors which is used commonly. Following vectors are commonly used in a recombinant DNA technology are plasmid or bacteriophage. Plasmids, these are autonomously replicating circular extrachromosomal DNA. And bacteriophage, these are viruses that infect bacteria. Bacteriophage, because of their high number per cell, have very high copy number within bacterial cells. Now we discuss features of the cloning vectors. Copy number. It is defined as the number of copies of vectors present in a cell. So it varies from 1 to 100 copies per cell. The best known vector is the plasmid vector. Plasmid vector is the best known vectors. PBR322 is the first artificial cloning vector developed in 1977 by Bolivar and Rhodesi from E. coli plasmid. So these are the features of cloning vector. First, origin of replication, then selectable marker, cloning site known as recognition site, vectors for cloning genes in plants and animals, and there are the different methods. First is inactivations of antibiotics, and second, alternative selectable markers. Another is insertional inactivation. So now see the first features of cloning vectors. Origin of replication. This is a DNA sequence that is responsible for initiating replications Any piece of DNA, when linked to this sequence, can replicate within the host cell. So, it is also known as ORI. ORI also control the copy number of the linked DNA. For many copies of target DNA, it should be cloned in a vector whose origin supports high copy number. So let us see first of all the structures of the PBR3T2. PBR322. These are the artificial cloning vectors. So these are the diagram of PBR3T2 cloning vectors. This is Cal1, Cal1, Hind2, Hind2, Ecor I1, Ecor, Ecor1. These are like this. These are BAM H1. This is SAL 1. This rope, rope. Rope, PUF2, ORI, origin of replications. This is known as ORI. Past one, preview 1, MP, R, tetra, R restrictions enzymes. So these are the structures of E. coli vectors. E. coli cloning vector PBR322 showing restriction site, restriction site including Hind2, Ecor I1, BAM H1, SAL1, PB, PBL, PBL2, past, L, Cal 1, ORI, and antibiotic resistance, antibiotic resistance, genes, MPR, and tetracycline R resistance, ROP, codes for the proteins involved in the replication of the plasmid. So these are the structures of PBR322 artificial cloning factors. So now discuss selectable marker. It helps to select the host. It helps to select the host which contain the vector. Vector is also known as transformant, and eliminate the non-transformant. It helps to select the host cells which contain the vector transformants and eliminate the non-transformants. Transformations is defined as the procedure by which a piece of DNA is introduced in a bacterial cell. A piece of DNA is introduced into the bacterial cell. Genes encoding resistance to antibiotics. Like ampicillin, amphenicol, tetracycline are useful selectable marker for E. coli, that means Escherichia coli. The normal E. coli cells do not carry resistance against any of these antibiotics. So normal E. coli cells do not carry resistance against any of these antibiotics. So now the third features of cloning vectors are also known as cloning sites. Cloning site is known as the recognition site. So to link the alien DNA, the vectors required very few recognition site. These are the recognition site. Origin of recognition site. For the restrictions enzyme, more than one recognition site within the vectors can complicate the gene cloning as it will generate several fragments. So number of recognition site can complicate the gene cloning as it will generate several fragments. So ligations of alien DNA can be carried out at a restriction site present in one of the two antibiotic resistance genes. So there are the resistance antibiotics gene. Now discuss vectors for cloning genes in plants and animals. There are several vectors which are used for cloning gene in plants and animals. In plant, the tumor-inducing plasmid in plant. TI, tumor inducing plasmid of Agrobacterium tumefaciens is used as a cloning vector. Agrobacterium tumefaciens is a pathogen of several dicot plants. It delivers a piece of DNA known as tDNA. tDNA, piece of DNA, in the TI plasmid, which transforms normal plant cells into tumor cells to produce chemical against pathogens. It produces chemicals against pathogens. Chemicals against pathogen. It delivers a piece of DNA known as tDNA in the TI plasmid, which transforms normal plant cells into tumor cells to produce a chemical against the pathogens. Retroviruses, adenovirus, papillomavirus are also now used as cloning vectors in animals because of their ability to transfer normal cells into cancerous cells. They are first disarmed and then used to transfer desirable genes to animal cell. So, retrovirus, adenovirus, papillomavirus are also used as cloning vectors in animal. For what purpose? Because of their ability to transfer normal cells into cancerous cells. Cancerous cells. Transfers normal cell into cancerous cells. So selections of recombinant form can be done by one of the following methods. First is inactivations of antibiotics, and second, alternative selectable markers, insertional inactivations. So, inactivations of antibiotics, if a foreign DNA ligates at BAMH1, these are the BAMH1, site of tetracycline, this is BAMH1 tetracycline resistance gene. In the vector PBR2, the recombinant plasmid loses the tetracycline resistance due to insertions of foreign DNA. It can still be selected out from non-recombinant ones recombinant by plating the transformant on ampicillin containing medium. The transformants growing on ampicillin containing medium are then transferred onto a medium containing tetracycline. The recombinants can grow in ampicillin containing medium but not on that containing tetracycline, whereas non-recombinant can grow on the medium containing both the antibiotics, and thus recombinants are selected. So these are the methods for inactivations of antibiotics. Next method, alternative selectable markers, insertions of inactivations, in which on the basis of color productions In the presence of chromogenic substrates, the recombinant and non-recombinant can also be differentiated. In this method, presence of chromogenic substrate the recombinant and non-recombinant can also be differentiated due to presence of chromogenic substrate. Here a recombinant DNA is inserted within the coding sequence of an enzyme beta galactosidase. Inserted within the coding sequence of an enzyme beta galactosidase. Galactosidase, which results into inactivations of enzyme, and hence there is no conversion of substrate to product. So hence the bacterial clonings having transferred plasmid shows no colorations, while those without inserted plasmid form blue color colonies. The bacterial colonies having transferred plasmid show no colorations, while those without inserted plasmid form blue color colonies. So by which we can also activate selectable markers and methods of cloning vectors. Thank you.